Hello, today we're going to be talking about MyPlate and how to build a MyPlate menu. MyPlate is a guide to healthy eating. It helps us eat things that'll keep us healthy now and also in the future. Everything that you eat and drink matters. Let's take a look at some of the MyPlate guidelines and recommendations. MyPlate recommends that you make half of your plate fruits and vegetables. Fresh, frozen, canned, and juice counts towards your intake of fruits and vegetables. When possible, you want to make sure you're choosing whole fruits and vegetables. You also want to make sure that you're choosing different color fruits and vegetables to get the necessary nutrients we need to be healthy. MyPlate also recommends that you choose low-fat milk products. Milk, cheese, and yogurt are in the dairy group. Again, you want to make sure that you're looking for skim or maybe 1% milk product. MyPlate also recommends that half of your grains are whole grains. You will know by looking at the label and it will tell you 100% whole grains. You also want to vary your protein source. You may choose from foods like poultry, fish, beans, eggs, nuts, and lean meats. Overall, you want to choose foods and drinks with little or no added sugar. We are now going to do a quick activity to build a MyPlate for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. When we're building a MyPlate for our meals, we want to make sure we're choosing at least one item from each food group. Let's start with breakfast. For breakfast, let's start with 100% whole grain toast. What can we add from the other food groups to make this a complete meal? Looking at the side, I have some different options for each of the food groups. Starting with the protein group, let's decide how we're going to build our breakfast plate. For this first meal option, I'm going to choose an egg as our protein source. Along the side, we also have bacon and peanut butter that could be used in the place of an egg. For a vegetable, maybe you want to add some peppers and onions to some scrambled eggs. To get a food from our dairy group, maybe you also want to add some cheese right into your scrambled eggs to make it scrambled eggs with cheese and peppers and onions. Lastly, maybe you want to have a banana as your fruit. So now we have a complete breakfast meal, including whole grain toast with scrambled eggs with peppers and onions and cheese, and a banana on the side. Let's take a look at a different option that you could have for breakfast. Another breakfast option would be having 100% whole grain toast with a fruit smoothie. You can make a fruit smoothie using strawberries from the fruit group, spinach from the vegetable group, peanut butter from the protein group, and low-fat milk from the dairy group. There are so many ways that you can build a complete MyPlate breakfast. Let's take a look at lunch. What can we add to roasted red pepper or tomato soup to make this a complete MyPlate lunch? Starting with the grain group, maybe you're going to choose 100% whole grain bread. From the dairy group, maybe you're going to choose cheese, and you can make a grilled cheese sandwich. From the fruit group, let's choose an apple. Lastly, from the protein group, maybe you will have a handful of mixed nuts. And now we have a complete MyPlate lunch with soup, a grilled cheese sandwich, an apple, and a handful of nuts. Another way to build a complete MyPlate lunch using soup would be to use crackers, a handful of grapes, a piece of chicken, and low-fat milk. Now, let's build a complete MyPlate dinner. We're going to start by using some pasta. What would you add to your MyPlate dinner to make this a complete meal? Take a moment and pause this video. Let us know in the comment section below, how would you build your ideal dinner MyPlate using pasta? One possibility is adding some meatballs as a protein to your pasta to make it spaghetti and meatballs. From the dairy group, maybe you want to add some shredded or grated cheese onto your spaghetti and meatballs. For a vegetable, you could also have a side salad using some different vegetables including lettuce, cucumbers, and tomatoes. To make this a complete MyPlate dinner, maybe you want to have some watermelon as dessert. So you could have a complete meal including spaghetti and meatballs with cheese, a side salad, and watermelon. Another dinner option could be having shrimp scampi. Along with your whole grain pasta noodles, maybe you could add shrimp, fresh lemon juice, and broccoli to make this a one-pan dish. On the side, you could have a glass of low-fat milk for your dairy group. When we are making a MyPlate menu for the day, you want to make sure you're varying the foods from each of the food groups throughout your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Take a look. Do you notice any foods repeating throughout the meals? I noticed that each of our meals contain cheese from the dairy group. It would be great if you can make sure that you're choosing cheese for maybe one of your meals and choosing another source of dairy for your other meals. At breakfast time, instead of having cheese, maybe you could have a yogurt on the side for your dairy. For dinner, instead of having cheese on our spaghetti and meatballs, maybe we could have a glass of low-fat milk on the side. Now, when looking at our breakfast, lunch, and dinner MyPlates for the day, we now have foods from different food groups throughout each of our meals. This will help us get the necessary nutrients from the different food groups and from different foods. How will you make sure you're going to eat from each of the 5 food groups this week? Some examples might include going grocery shopping, visualizing in your head the different meals you're going to eat for the next morning, lunch, and dinner, and also maybe you will physically write down a menu for each day of the week. Take a moment and let us know in the comments below what you are going to do to make sure you're eating from each of the food groups. Thank you for joining us as we learned how to build a MyPlate menu. If you have any comments or questions, you may send us a direct message or leave us a comment below. We hope that you're going to be eating from each of the 5 food groups this week.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the CEO Nutrition Education channel. My name is Alana, and I am a nutrition educator for the Commission on Economic Opportunity. Today's lesson is going to revolve around how we can use MyPlate to make healthier food choices centered around meals that we already know that we enjoy. In other words, we're going to give our meals a little bit of a makeover. As a reminder, MyPlate is an infographic that we can use to help us to make healthy food choices. MyPlate emphasizes the importance of eating a well-balanced meal. We want to try to make half of our plate fruits and vegetables and aim for at least 5 cups of colorful fruits and vegetables daily. A quarter of our plate should be grains, with at least half of our grain intake coming from whole grains each day. Another quarter of our plate should be made up of lean protein sources. We should also try to aim for 3 servings of low-fat or non-fat dairy sources every day. On my flip chart here, I created 3 incomplete meals. One for breakfast, one for lunch, and another meal for dinner. Together, or as together as we can possibly be right now, I'd like to try to brainstorm a few ways that we can turn our incomplete meals into complete meals using MyPlate and our MyPlate recommendations. So let's just say for breakfast one day we decided that we wanted to have some pancakes. So we made 2 pancakes using a white flour, mixed some blueberries into those pancakes, and then topped them with whipped cream and then some syrup and powdered sugar. Looking at this plate right now, what are some changes that you would make to include more food groups, or some changes that we could make to the already existing foods on our plate to make them just a little bit more nutritious? Pause the video and let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. When we come back, I want to show you all some of the ideas that I came up with for how we can take our incomplete breakfast and make it a more complete breakfast. To make my incomplete breakfast a complete and more filling meal, I decided to start by adding some protein to my plate. Lean protein ideas for this breakfast may include some scrambled eggs or some nuts such as walnuts for some protein as well as a source of healthy fats. I decided that I wanted more fruit with my pancakes to make a more colorful plate, so I also topped it with a banana. Following MyPlate recommendations of making half of my grains whole grains, I decided that it would be a good idea to use a whole wheat flour pancake mix instead. You could also add some crushed flax seeds to the pancake mix to add whole grains into your meal. We also had 2% milk in the fridge, so I decided to pour myself a glass of milk in place of the whipped cream on my pancakes to get my first low-fat source of dairy in today. By following MyPlate recommendations, we were able to hit 4 of the 5 food groups already at breakfast with only a few swaps and additions. While I may not include veggies in with this specific breakfast, if you were enjoying eggs with your pancakes, you could always add some spinach or peppers to your eggs to include more veggies on your plate. For lunch today, let's say we were in the mood for a burger. We have our ground beef patty as our protein, on top of a white bun in our grains, topped with lettuce and tomato for our veggies, and served with a side of French fries included in our starch or grain group. What are some changes I could make to this lunch to make it more nutrient dense using our MyPlate recommendations? The first thing that I notice is that we don't have any fruit on our plate. I have some diced up watermelon in the fridge, so I'm going to serve that alongside my burger. I'm also missing a serving of dairy. Maybe I could serve a milkshake or some fat-free milk on the side, or put some low-fat cheese on my burger. I still want to add some more color on my plate, so in the veggie category, we could enjoy our burger with a side salad, some carrot sticks, an ear of corn, or maybe some wax beans for more of a vegetable variety. To ensure my protein is a lean source of protein, I'm going to choose a burger made with lean ground beef. Other sources of lean protein could include a turkey burger or a veggie burger. Lastly, I need some more whole grains on my plate, so I'm going to choose a whole grain bun for my burger. These simple additions and swaps will make for a much more filling and nutrient-dense lunch. Our final meal is dinner. On the incomplete dinner plate, I have white pasta with a tomato sauce and some Parmesan cheese. Following MyPlate recommendations, what could I change this time to make a more complete dinner? First, I'm going to start with my vegetables. I could top my pasta with cherry tomatoes, mix some vegetables such as zucchini into my sauce, or serve some steamed mixed vegetables on the side.
Next, I'm going to add some fruit to my plate. Maybe some melon, peaches, or a baked apple for dessert could be good with this meal. This plate is definitely lacking in protein. There are many different lean protein sources to choose from with a pasta dish, such as mussels, clams, chicken, seafood, or ground turkey. To make sure I'm getting enough whole grains in, I'm going to choose a whole grain pasta instead of the regular white pasta. And for my last serving of dairy, I'm going to make sure I choose a fat-free or low-fat cheese to top off my pasta dinner. And just like that, we were able to use MyPlate and MyPlate recommendations to build ourselves a more nutrient-dense plate.
Now that we've seen just how easy it can be to make over our meals using MyPlate and MyPlate recommendations, what changes do you think you'll make this week for yourself or for your family to include more food groups on your plate, as well as foods that will provide more nutrients for your body? Feel free to leave a comment on our video or message myself or one of our nutrition educators directly to let us know your thoughts. Thank you all so much for watching, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. Everyone, and welcome back to the CEO Nutrition Education Channel. My name is Alana, and I am a nutrition educator for the Commission on Economic Opportunity. Today, I will be demonstrating for you all how to make a delicious chicken salad and peach sandwich recipe.
This twist on a classic recipe incorporates nearly every food group from MyPlate: grains from our whole grain bread, lean protein from our canned chicken, fruit from our diced apples and canned peaches, and vegetables from our onion and celery. To complete my own MyPlate lunch for today, I will be enjoying my sandwich with a glass of low-fat milk, which is another way I like to fit dairy onto my plate. What changes might you make to this recipe? Or what might you add in the dairy group to round out your MyPlate meal? Pause the video and let us know your thoughts in the comments section below.
One quick note that I wanted to mention before we begin making our chicken salad and peach sandwich is that when you're choosing canned peaches, try to make sure that you're buying your peaches canned in 100% fruit juice instead of syrup, in order to reduce the amount of added sugar that you'll be taking in from this recipe.
If you only have peaches canned in syrup available to you, just remember to drain and rinse your peaches before adding them to the recipe to reduce the amount of added sugar.
This recipe does contain both wheat and soy from the whole grain bread, as well as egg from the mayo. If you have any allergies to these ingredients or any of the other ingredients used in this recipe, please avoid making it.
As always, before we begin, it is very important that we remember to wash our hands using soap and warm water for at least 20 seconds to ensure safe food preparation.
Once we've done that, we can gather our ingredients and get started making our chicken salad and peach sandwich.
In this recipe, you'll need whole wheat or flour tortillas, shredded cheddar cheese, fresh, canned, or frozen corn, black beans, cilantro, a bell pepper, carrots, low-fat yogurt, and salt. Today, we will be using MyPlate as a guide to build a healthy lunch. In this recipe, we have 3 vegetables, which include carrots, bell pepper, and corn. The protein in this recipe includes black beans. Black beans are a great way to incorporate protein and fiber. Dairy sources in this recipe include low-fat plain yogurt and shredded cheddar cheese. In this recipe, the whole wheat tortillas are a whole grain source. To determine if something is whole grain, look for whole wheat or whole grain on the label. Lastly, even though the recipe does not call for a fruit, a tomato is an acceptable fruit choice for this recipe. First, drain the juice from the canned corn and rinse. Repeat for the black beans and rinse. To cook, set the temperature to medium heat. Coat the pan with non-stick cooking spray. Place the tortilla in a skillet. Sprinkle the shredded cheese over the tortilla. Next, add the black beans. Then sprinkle the corn. Add the carrot, the bell pepper, and the cilantro. Fold the tortilla and let it cook until the cheese is melted. Flip the quesadilla to cook the other side of the tortilla. Measure a 1/4 cup of low-fat plain yogurt. Add the cilantro. Then add a dash of salt.
Bye.